Good afternoon. I'm from El Paso, Texas. The socialist takeover of the Democratic Party continues. Progressives and the DSA scored another major victory last night in their fight for the soul of the Democratic Party. In Florida, in the Democratic Senate primary, the leftist state representative Angie Nixon rather easily beat retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Alex Vindman. Now, you remember him, the whistleblower who testified during Trump's first impeachment trial dur- during during his first presidential term. I've been doing little research into Nixon's platform and views, and yes, they are pretty radical. On her campaign website, it lists a lot of free stuff that she's promising to work on getting passed if she's elected, which I'm guessing is a long shot at best. She lists things like Medicare for all, free childcare, free paid family and sick leave, a national rent freeze, and a moratorium on evictions. She's also promising to work on a universal jobs program with inflation adjusted wages. She's proposing to pay for all this free stuff through a billionaire's tax and prioritizing, how she puts it, the needs of everyday Americans in lieu of spending trillions of dollars on war and violence overseas. And she also pledges to get big money out of politics, which in this election cycle usually means APAC. She's also very pro choice. A lot of her priorities are standard planks in the DSA platform, and she apparently is a card carrying member of the Democratic Socialists of America, which an organization that she joined this year, though she seems to be downplaying her membership, preferring instead to focus on her political identity as a Democrat. Nixon also wants to totally overhaul the prison system as well as abolishing ICE. She also supports expanding home and community based long term care so that, again, as she words it, seniors and people with disabilities can age with dignity. Now, I do take issue with her wording there. What was even more surprising than her victory last night was the size of it. She won by around 13 percentage points. Additionally, she was outraged by Veneman 16 to 1, and she actually raised less than $1 million. Other news from the election results last night: Trump-backed Republican Congressman Byron Donalds easily won the Florida Republican gubernatorial primary in a crowded field. Congressman Donalds, according to his campaign website, is a self-described Trump supporter and is promising to enact the Trump agenda, as well as to combat illegal immigration, that he will support Trump's which means now that he will support Trump's program of mass deportations. He's also a believer in the free market as well as being very socially conservative. If elected, Donalds would become Florida's first ever black governor. Another takeaway from last night's election results: Florida Republican Congressman Corey Mills, who had been endorsed by President Trump, lost his primary. Mills is under investigation by the House Ethics Committee for domestic violence allegations, as well as threatening to release pornographic images of another woman. Mills has also been accused of violating campaign finance laws and of lying about his military record. After last night's primary defeat, Trump is now apparently distancing himself from Mills, saying that he asked at one point Mills to drop out of the race. And moving on to other topics, President Trump is now saying that the Iran talks are dead and that the United States is in total control of the Strait of Hormuz, which he says is open for business, though Iran remains defiant, insisting that the strait remains closed, while it continues upping its demands of the United States, effectively giving the United States ultimatums. and is now threatening to launch attacks in Europe if Trump escalates the war. Iran doesn't Iran doesn't know when to admit defeat. We've effectively we've effectively destroyed much of that country's military capability, and they don't seem to be any more closer to surrender. About the only thing that they have any control over is the Strait of Hormuz, and they apparently are determined to hold on to that. I'm also seeing that Putin has been resupplying Iran's military, or at least providing Iran with the direct military aid, according to Fox News reporter Trey Yingst. This is really interesting. There are some Bible interpreters who, in interpreting Ezekiel 38, speculate that the land of Gog and Magog might be Russia, who allies with Persia or Iran against Israel. Turkey is also opposing Israel, with Erdogan's government accusing Netanyahu for pursuing expansionist and destabilizing policies after Israel launched airstrikes against Syria earlier this week. Turkey is also supposed to be a member of the Ezekiel 38 End Times Coalition. Florida Republican Senator Rick Scott is advising President Trump to make good on his threat to bomb Iran and destroy Iranian targets. Yes, I'm in agreement with Senator Scott here. Trump needs to finish the damn job. This is not a business transaction, but a war. The UAE is suspending all trade with the Islamic Republic of Iran, along with commercial exchanges and financial transactions, after accusing Iran of firing ballistic missiles against commercial shipping into the Strait of Hormuz. Iran is denying responsibility for the attack, calling it a false flag operation. The world has gone mad. Oh, seriously. The Trump administration has sanctioned two top International Criminals Court or ICC officials, in effect escalating its war against the international body that was investigating alleged U.S. war crimes in Afghanistan and issued arrest warrants for top Israeli officials, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, over the Israeli conduct during the recent war in Gaza, and continuing its campaign. The Trump administration is continuing its campaign against globalism and tearing down the post-World War II global order. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called the ICC corrupt and fatally politicized. In a statement, Rubio said, "Our whole of government campaign to dismantle the threat posed by the ICC to national sovereignty will be sweeping, and we expect more countries to join our campaign by ending their funding and participation in this politicized and unaccountable court. The ICC's ability to target American nationals and those of other non-states parties must end. As we are on the subject of Iran, on this day in 1953, a CIA-assisted military coup overthrew the government of Premier Mohammad Mossadegh and reinstated the Shah of Iran. Iran would become a key Cold War ally until the Shah was himself overthrown during a revolution involving Islamic followers of the Ayatollah Khomeini in 1979. Hope that everyone has a great day and stay safe.